Hey friends, this is a good, hopefully a quick video, and it's not going to be really long and rambly. I just finished doing some yoga, and I was like, oh, I'll make a little vlog video thing. Hopefully it's not going to be 20 minutes long this time. Yeah, I really wanted to get, just share a couple of things, a couple of revelations, I guess. So, a funny story, first of all. Last night, I printed off, I say it last night, it happened last night, but a few days ago, I printed off about 10 pages worth of stuff on Freya to put in my book. My Freya section of my book has been unfinished for ages. I just haven't really felt moved to put anything into the woo-woo book. And anyway, eventually, finally, last night, went and retrieved all these pages I'd pulled off my printer, and I put them in my book. I folded them all up so they were A5 size, and kind of put them in my book and closed my book just to kind of see how bulky it would be and to see what it would look like. Now, if you remember from my altar tour video, the book lives propped up against the wall behind the chalice, and I thought, oh, I wonder what it looks like if I put it propped up there. Like, will it fit okay still? Will it flap open? Like, what's going to happen? And I did. I tried it without thinking about it, and all these pages that I printed dropped out behind the dresser. And I sort of looked at it and I went, come on, really? I was just like, somebody's playing a joke on me. Now, earlier in the day, I'd watched a thing on Loki, and Loki's been popping up a little bit for me recently. And if you saw my vlog, my first vlog video, I mentioned that I was a child of Loki. Now, in Norse mythology, Loki kind of gives birth to the first Norse witch, and he's kind of the root of witches. Although Freya is also really strongly attributed with witchcraft and Seder. Loki is also attributed to this. Now, yeah, he's just been on my mind a bit more, and then I mentioned it yesterday, and then that happened with my book, and it was just like an extra thing that it made me smile. Like, it just seemed like this sort of silly thing, and it just made me smile, and I was just like, that's a Loki thing. So yeah, so I'm like, okay, I guess I'm being called to work with Loki a little bit, or at least read more about him and maybe spend some time with him and his attributes and how that might apply to me. So that was an interesting revelation. So I'm going to do that. I started reading a little bit about him last night, so I'm going to continue doing more research there and kind of see what happens. And and then the sort of second revelation I had a bit is, well, I say revelation, more like a reminding of. So the backstory to this, it happens about I want to say January, February last year. I was doing some meditation, and I was doing spirit guide. I don't want to say spirit guide because that seems appropriative of Native American stuff, but it's the closest thing I can think of right now off the top of my head. But yeah, I was just seeing if any entities or anything would speak to me. So I was doing some kind of deep dive guided meditation-y type stuff. And the rune Eowaz came to me, just appeared, and it, the name kept repeating over and over in my head. So I was like, okay. So I looked up Eowaz, and Eowaz is all about safe travels and partnerships and what kind of stuff, which was all happening. This happened maybe a month before I moved 260 260 miles up the country. And I was having, not doubts about it, but like fears about it. And AWAS appeared. And at the time I was like, okay, cool, this is a good sign. This is a sign that what I'm doing is right and good and all the rest. This morning, whilst I was downstairs, I was watching my pagan tube, as I do. And I was watching a guy called Arith Hager? I think that's how you pronounce his name. Anyway, fantastic guy. Go and watch him. And he did his, I think 4 days ago, he did a video on AWAS. And I love watching his videos. He's incredibly informative. He comes from an archaeology background, and he's... I have a feeling he's Danish, but it could be wrong. Maybe Norwegian. I know there's quite a difference. Anyway. So he's some flavour of Scandinavian. And he does fantastic videos on Norse mythology, history, everything. It's really cool. He did this really in-depth video on AWAS, and it was like this big hit in the face again of like where I'm at now in terms of, because AWAS is like I said, it's good for journey, but and traveling, but that doesn't necessarily, that can mean physical travel, traveling from point A to point B, but also can mean spiritual travel, and spiritual journeys and anything like that, which, as aforementioned, is what I'm on right now, which is cool. And so again, I feel like AWAS has kind of popped up exactly at this right time when I'm on this kind of journey, personal development, spiritual journey, to kind of, to really pick apart and explore and examine. And I have a page on AWAS in my book, but it's quite simplistic, so I feel like I'm being called to again explore that more. And I think I'm going to write more on AWAS, about my experience of AWAS, about, I'm going to meditate on AWAS and write more stuff about this particular rune, and just see where it takes me in terms of journeying, in terms of shamanic journeying, because it can also be related to that. The rune of AWAS is basically two horses running together, so it symbolises relationships and teamwork and all that kind of stuff. And that might be relationships with yourself, relationships with other people, the relationship between mind and heart. There's a lot going on in AWAS, and I feel like there's a lot I need to explore, and it came up at exactly the right time last year, and I feel like it's coming up at the right time again now. And I'm also taking it as a sign that I'm on the right track. But yeah, I was reminded of it, and it was really cool, actually. So yeah, so those are two spiritual experiences I've had recently in the last 24 hours. So I'm gonna hang out with Loki. I'm gonna hang out with AWAS. I'm gonna see how I go with those things, write about them, and hopefully not get in my own way too much about it. Anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to say. I hope everybody is really well and taking good care of themselves today. And yeah, let me know if you've ever worked with Loki, you've worked with the rune AWAS, and what your experiences have been. I would love to share that with you, or see what other people's experiences have been, or just discuss it maybe in the comments. If you like what I'm doing, subscribe, that'd be cool. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like it, give it a thumbs down, whatever. I'm not fussed, I'm not going to tell you what to do. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.